Yes.
I'd like to call this meeting to order and welcome everyone. The municipality of Central Elgin would like to acknowledge that we gather on the land of the McKee Purchase, the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Attawandaron, which is the Neutrals, and the Mississauga Nation. Does any member of council have a disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Deputy Mayor Marks.
I'd like to declare an interest on closed session 5,
Thank you.
please.
Councillor Rowe.
Thank you. CEP 1122 application to remove.
Mr. Parent, thank you.
Thank you. So CP 11. And okay, thank you very much. Read the motion toward the minutes, please.
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Wynn, seconded by Councillor Cravitz, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council meeting Monday, March 14th, 2022 be adopted.
Call the vote, please.
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Cravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Martin?
Yes,
The resolution carries.
thank you. We have no delegations and no correspondence requiring action. We have several items there for information. Does anyone have anyone that they wish to mention or speak on? If not, would you read the motion concerning the correspondence for information?
Motion reads, Mayor Martin, moved by Councillor Rowe, seconded by Deputy Mayor Marks, that correspondence items number 1 through number 4 inclusive be received as information and filed.
Would you call the vote, please?
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Cravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Martin?
Yes. And I would like to commend Fiona Wynn, who sits on the fundraising committee for the Terrace Lodge fundraising, that she's been helpful on that for quite a while now, and we appreciate that.
Sorry, Mayor Martin.
Yes,
I'm sorry, I didn't get my act together quick enough to say something about the Terrace Lodge fundraising when
Go
you were
ahead.
asking. I just did want to mention, just for those who may be listening, just to state that the committee has raised over $100,000 in their first year and secured $125,000 in sponsorship, as well as the committee is, which is an amazing feat for the first year, and it just shows that the work of the members to bring in the money and how well received it has been throughout the county. But the committee has stated that they are looking to broaden the size of the committee. So they are going to be asking for members of the county, anybody from any of the communities in the county, to join the committee if interested. So there is contact information that is within our letter, and I'm not going to read it all out now, but I will put a post on social media relating to it. Or if anybody is interested in donating to the Terrace Lodge redevelopment or joining the committee, even if you just Google Terrace Lodge redevelopment, it will take you to the site anyways, and then you can engage through there. So just wanted to make that announcement. Thank you.
thank you. And I know they're trying to they want members from the municipalities that haven't been involved before, because they believe that, of course, our citizens in Central Elgin don't just go to the one that's in their area. They could go to any one of the homes.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's it. Anybody within the county would be able to go to any of the county homes, and in particular Terrace Lodge. So
Thank you very
for the
much.
time.
Okay, moving on to the Central Elgin Planning Office reports. And the first one is the one Colleen had declared a conflict in, and that's the CEP 1122, removal of the holding symbol on the Kokomo Beach Club. Any questions or concerns about this one? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Kravitz.
Just one question. There was a mention of for future road use. It's shown, I believe, on the 4th page, showing those change in lots. Is that to allow, obviously, to allow future road access to the back of Kokomo? Is that what that is, Mr. McClure? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Councillor Kravitz. Yes, it's to secure the potential for future road access, as was I guess explored during the original subdivision application. There was a desire to have a future road connection there, and the future residential block was put in place in order to leave that open. At this point, through the holding removal, the applicant has requested that minor change to the county, and this would be at least solidifying the future potential. I don't believe that there's anything in the works at the moment, but it would create that roadway should a road be, I guess, built in the future.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, would you read the motion, please?
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Deputy Mayor Marks, seconded by Councillor Wynn, that report CEP 1122 be received as information, and that report CEP 1122 re-application to remove holding symbol and minor revision to draft plan of subdivision Kokomo Beach Club, Phase 3, 2526 Ontario Inc., Village of Port Stanley, be approved, and that council endorse the minor revision to the Phase 3 of the Kokomo Beach Club plan of subdivision, file number 34T CE 1801 for the County of Elgin's consideration, and further that notice of council's intention to pass an amending bylaw to remove a holding symbol from a zoning bylaw be given pursuant to Ontario Regulation 54506.
To call the vote, please.
Councillor Kravitz,
Yes.
Councillor Cook,
yes,
Councillor Fair,
Yes.
Councillor Wynn,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. And now moving on to the CEP 12, which is the Central Elgin 5-year official plan update, the draft policy revisions. Read the motion first and then we can discussion.
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Kravitz, seconded by Councillor Rowe, that report CEP 1222 re-Central Elgin's 5-year official plan update, draft policy revisions be received as information, and that council received the Municipality of Central Elgin draft official plan policy update table, March 28, 2022, for purposes of soliciting additional feedback and input from landowners, agencies, and the public. And that council directs staff to circulate the Municipality of Central Elgin draft official plan policy update table dated March 28, 2022 to the County of Elgin for formal comments in advance of a public meeting. And further that a date for a public meeting be established in accordance with Ontario Regulation 54306 as amended.
Thank you. Comments and questions? I saw Colleen's email and I had already contacted Jim actually at Macomb because Kevin wasn't in the office when I called to say I was very pleased with the certain aspects, especially the climate change and the reference to the environmental committee and permeable pavement or permeable surface covers, et cetera. I thought they had included in public transit and active transportation, et cetera. There were a lot of very good things I felt in it so far. So I'm pleased with the draft. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? If not, would you call the vote, please?
Councillor Rowe,
Yes.
Councillor Kravitz,
Yes.
Councillor Cook,
yes,
Councillor Fair,
Yes.
Councillor Wynn,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. And now the Central Elgin 5-year official plan update, the residential land supply. Would you read the motion, please?
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Rowe, seconded by Councillor Cravitz, that report CEP 1322, Central Elgin's 5-year official plan update, residential land supply be received as information, and that council received the municipality of Central Elgin update of the residential land need report dated March 2022 for purposes of soliciting additional feedback and input from landowners, agencies, and the public. And the council directs staff to circulate the municipality of Central Elgin update of the residential land need report, March 2022, to the county of Elgin for formal comments in advance of a public meeting. And further, that a date for a public meeting be established in accordance with Ontario Regulation 54306 as amended.
Okay, comments or questions? Councillor Rowe and then Councillor Cravitz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just add a couple on the Port Stanley diagram. I may have my information incorrect, but I thought there was a vacant lot north of the water tower off of East Road on the west side, and that wasn't showing as yellow on the diagram. So I just wondered what the state of that particular property might be. And then,
I thought that was showing yellow. I thought it was no, on the west side of East Road.
correct.
I thought that was the number 2 on the diagram.
It was right up at the point. Perhaps I just don't know how to look at it.
Page 23.
It's page 23, yes.
Getting there.
That's okay, I know. I was reading through the whole official plan. I had to keep going back and scrolling through all the pages.
Field by water tower number 2.
Number 2 is north of the water tower. You can see the water tower there, the little white dot.
It's little.
It's little.
Uh-huh.
23.
Okay, all right, that's fine then. I was thinking it would be kind of a more up in the corner, but you're right.
Yeah, because the other is the fire hall and the green roof land, that other little section further northeast of it.
Okay, can I just ask a follow-up question then?
Certainly.
So in some of those diagrams, the yellow numbering isn't always in sequence, like sometimes there's a number missing. I didn't know whether that meant anything, number 2. And then the third one was, some of the diagrams show vacant land outside of the built limits. Just wondered what the implications of that was, if anything.
Go ahead, Mr. McClure.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to Councillor Rowe. There's a number of, I guess, diagrams and figures as kind of been related to in this report. A number of the ones when you're looking at that identify the land supply, that's the current designated land supply within the settlement areas. So the yellows being vacant designated residential lands that are currently kind of on the books within the municipality. And then the orange being lands that are currently vacant, but are at certain stages within registered plans of subdivision. So ultimately, while they I guess don't have anything on them right now, they are pretty much set for future development. With respect to some of those lands that you're referring to outside of the settlement areas, those lands are lands that have been, I guess, requested through this official plan update process to be considered for inclusion within settlement areas for residential purposes. So just trying to go to, yeah, there's certain ones that show residential kind of intensification. Those red areas show where there's potential to develop at higher densities than as considered, like, you're right now, there's maybe residential development on those parcels of land, but these would be sites that could be looked at for residential infill. Again, that's something that the provincial policy statement encourages. But then when you get into additional lands, there's a number of kind of hatched lands that are outside of settlement areas. And those are properties that landowners or developers, et cetera, have requested for inclusion and is something that the municipality will need to consider through this process as to whether or not to include some or, all of these lands.
Go ahead, Councillor Rowe.
Thank you. Yeah, so no, my question was, so like if you look on page 20, for example, it's the legend has the yellow is the settlement area limits, and then the blue dotted line is the built area limits. I just wonder, I'm just wanting to know what the difference between the two is. I know, I understand what they are conceptually, but is there something that we would need to change formally, given that some of the development is outside or appears to be outside of the built up area limit?
The built up means it's already been built on.
But I can also see that there's, it's really hard to know where the beginning and the end is in here.
Go ahead.
If I may.
Does all of the built area limit within the blue dotted lines, is that completely built up, or is there vacant land within those built area limits? There's
So
vacant land within them.
Yeah, with respect to the built area limits, there's provisions within the official plan that speak to lands that are outside of those limits. So prior to development outside of those areas, you're required to undertake some watershed study to deal with development, because at the time when those those built area limits were created through the the 2013 official plan, those areas weren't studied. So that it's a policy trigger for development that occurs outside of there. So we'll need to revise the built area limits mapping based on what has been approved through plans of subdivision and the information that has been considered through those application processes. So some of those, again, if you're looking at, so you reference page 20, the subdivision now that has been recently approved off 7th line, the Craig Home Estates, those that built area limit line should be adjusted to address the fact that as part of that application process, they undertook natural environment, natural heritage, processes, studies to address those policies. So similar to some other applications that we've received in Belmont recently that are currently before us, but haven't come forward to councils, such as number 5 and 4 on that map. They were required to undertake additional studies to deal with a scopes sub-watershed study to address development outside of that built area limit. So it's more of a policy trigger as opposed to lands that are actually outside of a settlement area. The settlement area boundary is that yellow line. The dotted line is the built area limits that triggered to certain studies to be undertaken through a Planning Act application process.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I understand.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Go ahead, Councillor Kravitz.
With that, as far as redrawing of the lines for the settlement area limits, when in the process does that happen, and when do we look at, because right now there's an overabundance of land being requested for development. Looking at the growth projections, when are we going to determine what the new settlement area is? What's the where are we in the process? It's going to go to the county. Now the county is going to comment on this to adopt it in their official plan. And then do we redraw the lines or readjust it? Could you explain the process a little bit, please?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Kravitz. So the intent is, and is kind of direction through these reports, is that these are kind of preliminary findings of the work that's been done on the policies and the land budgeting. So right now we're identifying that there's an oversupply of designated residential land within the settlement boundaries of the municipality of Central Elgin. We're identifying the number of properties that are currently outside of the settlement boundary that the municipality may want to consider for inclusion within. But as part of the next steps, we're going to be reaching out and going out to hold a couple of other stakeholder sessions, have public information sessions and a public meeting to gather more input and have further discussion with those stakeholders and council. And the intent is that through this official plan update, we would be revising the policies as well as the mapping to I guess, have everything wrapped up through one comprehensive official plan review update.
And
Go ahead.
so as far as in conjunction with the county official plan, how are we timing wise and how is the county progressing with their official plan?
It's my understanding that I guess based on some, I guess the process that the county has I guess stalled a little bit. I am aware that they have received an updated report from Hempstead to deal with their revisions or I guess projections for all the lower tier municipalities within the county. That is yet to be circulated to the municipality. But ultimately, as has been kind of like a strategic priority of the municipality to advance the official plan update process, we're hoping to solicit as much comment and feedback from the county at this point so that we can provide what our, I guess, recommended settlement boundaries and that are through this process. And then that since they would be following us and they are the approval authority for the municipality's official plan, that if they were to approve our municipal boundaries, then they would reflect that in their own documentation.
Just one, and with that, are we further ahead to proceed as Central Elgin before the county finishes their official plan? Or how does that work for the entire growth for all of the county?
Go ahead, Paul.
Kevin, Mr. McClure, are you all right if I jump in for a second?
Yes.
I'd just add from a procedural perspective, council has identified the official plan review and update as a strategic priority. Mr. McClure and SIPO are in constant contact with Elgin County, and the municipality has already deferred the official plan once. Deferring it further would obviously further push off the zoning bylaw consolidation, which will be a massive project, and all the things that go along with that. So with the constant communication as the processes go, a number of other municipalities have already completed their update to their official plans. So as long as SIPO, Mr. McClure, and the municipalities continue to talk, it should not be detrimental to moving forward with the finalization of the Central Elgin OP.
Okay, that's sufficient then, Mr. McClure. That's the answer I received from Mr. Shepway. Thank you.
Anyone else have any other questions? Seeing none, would you call the vote, please?
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Cravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
yes,
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn? Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. Now moving on to the Director of Financial Services Treasurer's report. So the first one is the Union Street Park hardscaping. To read the motion, please.
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Fair, seconded by Councillor Rowe, that report DFS 1222, read the Union Street Park hardscaping be received as information, and that council accept the tender of Roebuck Contracting Limited for the 2022-04 Union Street Park hardscaping in the amount of $259,415 plus all applicable taxes.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for this? Seeing none, would you call the vote, please?
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Cravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
yes,
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Martin?
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. And now the request for tenders for surface treatment and microsurfacing. Read the motion, please.
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Cravitz, seconded by Councillor Rowe, that report DFS 1322, read request for tenders, surface treatment and microsurfacing be received as information, and that council accept the tender of Duncor Enterprises, Inc. for surface treatment and microsurfacing in the amount of $232,620.80 plus all applicable taxes.
Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think the report stated that there was going to be a roadwork plan come forward in April. And I was just curious how well that plan and this tender tie together.
Mr. Brooks, would you like to respond to that?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Rowe. That plan will come out in April once we've tendered the hot mix work. I can give you a brief rundown of what we're looking at for surface treatment here for this year, if you'd like.
I don't need to know the details, I guess. I was just thinking maybe cart before the horse type of thing. So maybe the work, you're just kind of putting both the hot mix and the surfacing road work plan in one report as opposed to breaking it out. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, well, once the hot mix tender is finalized and we have our quantities and prices, we'll compile all the information for all the roads that will be treated with hot mix pavement, all the roads that will be treated with microsurfacing, and the roads that will be treated with a single surface treatment.
Councillor Fair.
If it's not too much trouble, I wouldn't mind hearing the ones that you're thinking of slating for covering.
Sure. So the list for surface treatment is Southdale line from Centennial to Yarmouth Center Road, John Street in Orwell from Springwater to Pryor Street in Orwell from Talbot to the dead end, Truman line from Highbury to Yarmouth Center Road, Thompson line from 200 meters east of Highbury to Carr Road, Fruit Ridge line from Fairview to Centennial Road, Browers line from Hobson to Springwater Road, and 7th Ave from Belmont Road to 170 meters west of Belmont Road will get a microsurface.
Deputy Mayor Marks.
I guess my question is, I think I know the answer. That is just sort of a normal maintenance. We've got the roads in good shape and that just sort of captures to renew it and carry on for another 3 years, Jeff? Is that correct or?
That's correct. The majority of this work is maintenance. We typically will put a new surface treatment layer on each road or each rural road every 7 years as part of the maintenance. The microsurfacing on 7th Ave was a recommendation that came out of the state of the infrastructure report from 2019. So that will extend the useful life of the top coat of asphalt on 7th Ave for approximately 7 to 10 years.
Councillor Kravitz.
With the 7th line, does that do the resurfacing all the way to the City of London boundary? Because there's a really rough section of road up there. I wonder how far that surfacing does on 7th line.
That's London, isn't it?
No, it will go from Belmont Road to just the other side of Kettle Creek Drive. It'll just micro the surface that was repaved in 2009. There will be a reconstruction project on 7th Ave identified here sometime in the not too distant future to rehab that kind of from Kettle Creek west to the City of London boundary.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, would you call the vote, please?
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Kravitz,
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
yes,
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Martin?
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. Now, Director of Fire Rescue Service and Fire Chief, the firefighter certification. Sorry,
Still one more.
I'm sorry. Dust control. I ticked it off and we hadn't done it yet. Go ahead, sorry.
Moved by Councillor Kravitz, seconded by Councillor Wynn, that report DFS 1522, request for tenders 2022-09 dust control be received as information, and that council accept the tender of the dust control limited for the 2022-09 dust control at an estimated amount of $79,070.40 plus all applicable taxes.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns about that one? Councillor Fair.
Just a comment. I know when we hear in building, we always hear, oh, Toronto prices are so high and Hamilton. And yet a lot of these tenders are coming from those areas and they're reasonable tenders. So it's nice to see that. On this Stony Creek, And you always hear, oh, as soon as you get over there, prices are out of whack, but they don't seem to be.
Do you have any comment on that, Counselor or Mr. Brooks?
Sorry, just bringing up my video. Yeah, the price increase from last year on the dust control was up about 15%. We expected a price increase. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly what kind of a price increase we were going to get, but considering some of the other price increases you've seen on construction supplies and materials in the area, 15% wasn't too bad. So.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, would you call the vote, please?
Counselor Rowe,
Yes.
Counselor Cravitz.
Yes.
Counselor Cook,
yes,
Counselor Fair,
Yes.
Counselor Wynn,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Marks,
Yes,
and Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. And now to the Director of Fire Rescue Service, Fire Chief. The firefighter certification. Would you read the motion, please?
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Counselor Wynn, seconded by Counselor Fair, that report FSO 422, firefighter certification, be received as information.
Questions? It's coming back again. We had it before and it's now looking like it's going to happen. So, Counselor Fair.
Just one sort of question. I know you allude to that it's going to cost more. Have we got any idea what it would cost for these certifications in addition because of this additional work?
Go ahead, Mr. Ormerod.
Madam Mayor, through you to Councillor Fair. At this point in time, there is a range, Councillor Fair. The certification process requires the candidates to attend, obviously, a training session. If we're able to get those candidates in locally, it's a very minimal cost, approximately $65 to $100 per student. If we have to send them out to, say, a separate regional school, for example, Grimsby, it becomes $300 to $400 per student, plus mileage, plus hotel expenses. So as it states, currently we're going through to see who will require what, and the anticipation of getting them enrolled early, because we're well aware that there will be an influx of students coming the first of next year to complete the programs.
Deputy Mayor Marks.
Madam Mayor, it'd probably be a good time for you and I to put a plug in for the good work the county's done in getting maybe fire chief could allude a little more to it, but having their training here in the county and it's just so many dividends, just cost savings, but the fact that people, it's so more convenient, but probably Chief, you could explain a lot better, but it is feather in our cap. It's very, very, very good news.
Go ahead,
Through you.
Count. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, we are very fortunate. We were able to get a regional school going here in our local area. A, it does cut down significantly on the expense. B, they are utilizing some of our firefighters as well to be instructors. So that only goes to enhance their instructional ability when they take it back to their department and keeps them engaged, I guess, if you will, pretty much on a weekly basis right now. So we are very fortunate. They continue to build courses. They're adding more and more courses as we go along. We're very fortunate that just this past couple of weeks, the regional school was able to run a pilot program for the NFPA 1006 specialty rescue programs that have yet to be allowed by a number of other regional schools. So they're very proactive.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Fair.
One other question. This training goes towards the volunteer firemen's 200 hours, right?
Yes, it does. There's not as big of emphasis on the 200 hours, if you will, Councillor Fair, is what there used to be. This certification is across the board. Full-time firefighters must maintain the same minimal standards as what the volunteer departments do now, once the certification does go through. So at the end of this, a certified firefighter is a certified firefighter.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, would you call the vote, please?
Counselor Rowe,
Yes.
Counselor Cravitz.
Yes.
Counselor Cook,
yes,
Counselor Fair,
Yes.
Counselor Wynn,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Marks.
Yes.
And Mayor Martin.
Yes.
The resolution carries.
Thank you. Now we're looking at the Director of Asset Management and Development Services report on Lexington Court Land Assembly.
If they need 200, that's why it's.
Would you read the motion, please?
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Deputy Mayor Marks, seconded by Counselor Rowe, that report AMDS 0822, Lexington Court Land Assembly, release of covenants be received as information, and that council consent to the termination of the restrictive covenants for parts 10 and 11, reference plan 11R 1064.
Any questions? Go ahead, Counselor Rowe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So is this step 2 of 3 then? So now that the covenants are released, recalling that there were 3 separate pieces of property there, the 2 on the north and the south, or the one on the north and the one on the south were the really odd, small shaped ones. So is step 3 that they come back and kind of rearrange that property then for 3 homes? Or is it just going to be 1 or plan?
Mr. Perrin, would you like to respond to that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Rowe. So this process allows the developer to actually convey parts 10 and 11 on registered plan 1064 into another holding company that they have or another ownership, so that they can all be assembled into one parcel, and then they'll come back for another application to subdivide those into 3 lots.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No other questions? Would you call the vote then, please?
Counselor Rowe,
Yes.
Counselor Cravitz.
Yes.
Counselor Cook,
yes,
Counselor Fair,
Yes.
Counselor Wynn,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Martin.
Yes,
The resolution carries.
thank you. And bylaws now. Would you read the first motion? Is there anyone who has any concern with? Yes, Counselor Rowe.
Thank you. I was just looking for some context around 2699. I have in my head that there was a temporary solution for that East Ridge development, or Eagle Ridge, sorry. And so is this for the temporary one or for something that's new news and it's now permanent?
Mr. Perrin?
This bylaw is to execute the agreement to implement the permanent sanitary sewer solution. So the temporary pumping station will not be required. This allows for the routing to be finalized through Shawside Development to connect up to the permanent pumping station that was constructed within the city of St. Thomas a number of years ago. That was originally intended to be the outlet for this Eagle Ridge subdivision.
Go ahead.
Follow-up question, maybe I should know the answer to this. So did that development get approved then in St. Thomas? Because I thought that was what we were waiting for.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councilor Rowe, yes, that's correct. There's one of the developments applications have been approved, which facilitated the street alignment to be formalized and which allows the sanitary sewer to be constructed.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, would you call the vote, please? Or sorry, make the motion for the 2 bylaws, please.
The motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Counselor Cravitz, seconded by Counselor Fair, that bylaws 2699 and 2700 be read a first and a second time.
Call the vote.
Counselor Rowe,
Yes.
Counselor Cravitz.
Yes.
Counselor Cook,
yes,
Counselor Fair,
Yes.
Counselor Wynn,
yes,
Mayor Martin,
Yes.
and Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Resolution carries.
And the second motion on the bylaws?
Next motion on that bylaw, Madam Mayor. Moved by Counselor Rowe, seconded by Counselor Wynn, that bylaws 2699 and 2700 be read a third time and finally passed.
Call the vote, please.
Counselor Rowe.
Yes.
Counselor Cravitz.
Yes.
Counselor Cook.
yes,
Counselor Fair.
Yes.
Counselor Wynn.
yes,
Deputy Mayor Marks,
Yes.
and Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. And we have on there a public notice, just reminding everyone of the waterfront master plan again. So go ahead and have your say and look at the 3 proposals and the ideas that are there. And it was interesting because the first time I went on, my iPad did not show this one and I thought, oh, it's not on there. And the second time I went on, it was there. But I don't know why the first time everything had only loaded down so far and I didn't get it. So I was worried that we had announced it last meeting and that it wasn't there, but it did show up eventually on mine. It was my iPad was the problem, not the Let's Talk. Go ahead, Mr. Shipway.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, great success. We've had significant feedback on that during phase 2. So we're quite pleased with that. And hopefully over the last few days, we get a bit more, but excellent feedback so far.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, moving on to other business. And we have the Knights of Columbus changing the date for their fishing derby. Do you have a motion there?
The motion reads, moved by Councillor Wynn, seconded by Councillor Fair, whereas council approved the special event permit for the 2022 Knights of Columbus Family Fishing Derby taking place in Port Stanley on Saturday, May the 29th of 2022. And whereas the organizers now wish to change the event date to Saturday, June the 4th of 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that council approve the date change for the 2022 Knights of Columbus Family Fishing Derby from Saturday, May 29th to Saturday, June the 4th, 2022.
Thank you. Any questions? Call the vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councillor
I
Fair.
was on that committee and they did say that they may be changing the date. They weren't sure, so this was expected.
Go ahead and call the vote, please.
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Cravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Martin.
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. And this next one is on the vaccine verification policy. Would you read the motion?
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Deputy Mayor Marks, seconded by Councillor Rowe, whereas the municipality of Central Elgin vaccine verification policy was implemented in accordance with provincial and public health direction. And whereas effective March the 14th of 2022, as outlined in the Living with and Managing COVID technical briefing, the province announced the revocation of mandatory vaccination policies. Now therefore, effective April the 8th, 2022, the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Central Elgin repeal the Municipality of Central Elgin vaccine verification policy.
Any questions? If not, would you call the vote, please?
Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Cravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
No.
No? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I think I froze up. You can hear me now?
Yes, I can. We can.
My vote is yes.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes,
Resolution carries.
thank you. And you have a third item?
Yes, I believe Mr. Brooks or Mr. Shipway is going to speak on this.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Shipway.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Mr. Brooks will speak into detail. However, council approved capital item PW08 in the capital budget. That's a East Road sidewalk. Mr. Brooks and his team have done some excellent work on that project, and Mr. Brooks would like to just give a bit of history on the situation. And we have a request of Elgin County to provide some funding and or make some changes because of some historic decisions they made with East Road. And I would turn it over to Mr. Brooks if you'll allow it.
Certainly, Mr. Brooks, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So as Mr. Shipway had mentioned, in the 2022 budget, the municipality had included a sidewalk project on East Road. East Road being a county road. The sidewalk was to go from Little Creek Park north to the water tower and was to be funded from development charges. As council may know, new sidewalks on county roads are the responsibility of the municipality to fund and construct. Staff have undertaken the design on this project and have come up with a few challenges in regards to the design of this project. The primary challenge being the current rural cross-section of East Road with ditches on both sides. The deep ditches don't lend themselves to the construction of an off-road sidewalk or pathway. So going back to when Sunset Bluffs was proposed, the developer of that development offered to convert East Road to an urban cross-section with curb and gutter at their own cost. However, the county declined this offer and kept the road as a rural cross-section. This decision has left the municipality with two problems, which it's left dealing with. The first being, as I mentioned before, the construction of an off-road sidewalk or pathway is challenging without piping and filling in the ditch. Staff have come up with a compromise being a 3-meter wide multi-use pathway immediately adjacent to the road, separated by a curb and 1 meter wide median. The cost of constructing this project is $225,000 over budget due to the sidewalk not being able to be placed in the boulevard, as well as other costs associated with the separation on road of the multi-use path with the roadway. The second problem that we're left dealing with is the rural cross-section makes maintenance difficult, especially considering that this area is situated in an urban environment where residents typically would expect a higher level of service in regards to grass cutting and maintenance. The county road maintenance agreement calls for and funds 2 cuts per year on rural roads, including this section of East Road, which leaves long grass and weeds growing on East Road throughout the year. So in light of the concerns that I've mentioned above, council may consider the resolution put before them this evening.
Okay, and do you want to hear the resolution and then ask questions, or?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Read the resolution and then people.
The motion reads, Madam Mayor, whereas East Road is an Elgin County road constructed to a rural cross-section within the Port Stanley urban settlement area. And whereas when Elgin County had the opportunity to have the developer upgrade East Road from a rural cross-section to an urban cross-section and decided to retain a rural cross-section. And whereas Central Elgin 2022 capital item PW08 contemplates installing active transportation infrastructure within the East Road road allowance. And whereas the Elgin County decision to retain a rural cross-section in a rapidly developing urban settlement area limits active transportation design options and increases costs associated with available active transportation design options and maintenance of the same. Now, therefore, the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Central Elgin requests that Elgin County undertake and fully fund the conversion of East Road from a rural cross-section to an urban cross-section to allow for the construction of a sidewalk or path, and further, that the urban cross-section would allow for improved maintenance that would commonly be expected in an urban settlement area, and that this project be undertaken in 2022. The limits of this request being East Road from the south edge of the water tower property south to Erie Heights Way. In lieu of 2022 East Road reconstruction to an urban cross-section, that Elgin County contribute fully to the excess cost of constructing a multi-use path immediately adjacent to the roadway due to the existing rural cross-section not being conducive to an off-road sidewalk or path. The excess cost to the municipality of Central Elgin being initially estimated at $225,000, and that the funding be based on actuals be provided from Elgin County in 2022.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Marks.
I want to thank staff for identifying and bringing this to us. It just makes so much sense. East Road is a road that I travel on quite a bit. I have a sister and brother-in-law live down Little Creek, and you know, over the last 6-7 years, it's just like an explosion down there, as we all know. And we've had multiple requests to get the speed lowered, which county council supported you and I. We're successful in that. Sometimes it works. This makes so much sense for safety. For you know, there's so many people down there walking all the time. So I'll go to be very frank. I'll start to lobby members of county council I'm proud that county council, anytime we've had requests like this here, we always err on the side of safety. So I'm hopeful that county council will look at this very favorably, but I think a strong message, this council unanimously requesting this would go a long way. So that would be my suggestion and hope.
Yes, and I think the very fact that the county turned down the developer's offer to pay for making it an urban cross-section, I don't think it leaves them any option, in my opinion. Go ahead, Councillor Rowe.
Hey, Madam Mayor, I was just curious. So if the road was converted to the urban cross-section, does it matter which side of the road the sidewalk is on, or is there a preference? And do you have to do the same amount of work if you're only putting the sidewalk on one side?
Mr. Brooks?
There's ditches on both sides.
Yeah.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Rowe. The side in which the majority of the residents live on is the west side. That's where you have the Sunset Bluffs development, as well as some of the other developments happening over there. So as a measure of convenience, it probably makes more sense for the sidewalk to be located on the west side, where it would collect the majority of the pedestrians entering from the subdivisions, with potentially a crosswalk somewhere located down near the park. As far as urbanizing both sides, it makes sense to urbanize both sides in that it's easier to maintain and cut grass for the municipality, rather than just going through as per the county maintenance agreement and cutting the grass twice per year. So it would be my recommendation to urbanize both sides.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead, Councillor Kravitz.
Oh, I think this is a fantastic idea to do that at this point. But also, is there any discussion about making a roundabout at East and Dexter line from the county? That's what needs to happen to get the traffic to slow down this location. And if this 10-meter or 3-meter wide walkway, multi-use walkway is going to be constructed, you said it is going to the water tower. Is that the goal with this?
That's correct. That's where the north end of the multi-use path would terminate at this point, with the potential to have that extended with future development north of that site. There has been some discussion surrounding a roundabout located on East Road, and maybe I can defer to Mr. Perrin to update council as to where that may be sitting.
Go ahead, Mr. Perrin.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Kravitz. Staff have pre-consulted with the developer of the lands that are west of East Road and north of the water tower and in behind on a couple of occasions. The developer is completing the final revisions that were requested of them of the supporting studies. And during that process, there was dialogue that there is an interest on both the county's perspective as well as the municipality to look at implementation of a roundabout at that intersection to assist in conveying traffic through that intersection for both East Road and Dexter line.
That's very good news. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Rowe.
Mayor, just so that you're aware, I have an email from someone at the county that said that they hadn't even discussed the roundabout at all, and there was no plan to do that. So, it's probably about a 2-week-old email. I asked them directly on behalf of someone else. So, just FYI.
You heard that, Mr. Perrin?
I heard that. I'm not sure what county staff person, but I can advise that the county engineer was party to those conversations during the pre-consultation process. So
it was from the engineer.
Okay, well, it's been talked about for several years now, so I'm a little surprised.
I can show you the email.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Marks.
I'm glad to hear the support for this. I can remember former Mayor Rock and myself, Ward 4 councillor at the time, and we had this idea to put a sidewalk along St. George Street. connect to Turvey Park. But, you know, if you look at it, we're proud of the fact that we got council to do it. But they didn't do a good job. That's a dangerous stretch along there. So we don't want, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. And it sounds like this is the direction we're headed there. So I think cooperation between us and the county is a whole lot better than those days. So.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Fair.
I don't know if you can answer this or not, but I'm just wondering, has the county ever considered maybe just putting a super wide shoulder on that road? That would give a walkway on each side. If they did a wide shoulder, I know the grass cut, that wouldn't solve the grass cutting, but it would solve foot traffic for both sides of the road if they just did a wide shoulder. Have they considered that, or don't you know?
Mr. Brooks?
The configuration of East Road right now, I believe, has some bike lanes on either side of East Road. What Central Elgin staff have undertaken as part of the design was to extend the asphalt on the west side of the road 1.5 meters, as well as construct a curb and barrier to protect the pedestrians and active transportation users on that multi-use path that we would be proposing on the west side of the East Road. So that's kind of the compromise. If the county wasn't willing to urbanize East Road, they may be able to help the municipality offset the additional cost for constructing that multi-use pathway immediately adjacent to the roadway and extending, as you say, extending that asphalt on the west side 1.5 meters or 2 meters to allow for that multi-use path.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Chipway.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to add that Mr. Brooks and ICS has met with the county on this. It's not a surprise to them. We're trying to be very upfront about everything. And to the county's credit, they've been great to work with this as well. So it's everyone trying to pull in the right direction on this one.
Very good. Would you call the vote then, Mrs. Wilson, please?
Madam Mayor, I did do that without the mover and the seconder.
Oh, I'm sorry. You read the motion, but you didn't have a mover and seconder.
I do have
I'll move.
I have Councillor Kravitz, sorry.
Councillor Wynn.
Sorry. I do have Councillor Kravitz moving that motion. He indicated when I sent them out today that he would like to move this motion.
Okay.
So I do need a second.
So Councillor Wynn is okay. Councillor Wynn is seconding.
Thank you. Call the vote. Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Kravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Resolution carries.
Thank you. Is there any other new business? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Marks.
2 weeks ago, our last meeting, it seems like it was yesterday, but I asked staff or mentioned to staff that that had a couple of complaints about mud. Seems kind of funny tonight, worried about mud and dust, and now we got snow, but staff fixed the problem. I had a phone call and they asked me to relay the good news or thanks on to staff. So I'm doing that. They actually thanked me and I said, no, I didn't do much, but thank you to staff.
Very good. Thank you. Any other new business?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Cook.
Hi, I think this is probably going to need some Jeff Brooks expertise. If a little bit into the water bills with the bylaw 2656, which showed the additional charge of $150 at the bottom of the water bills for the paper copy of it to be mailed out. Now, I had a woman who contacted me and she called the municipality and this is her understanding that she had to purchase her manual water bills for $15 to be able to register so she could get her account number and be able to register online her other concern is she doesn't have an email address. So I wasn't sure, is there some way that that might be incorrect, or that we can help guide her to be able to get her bills? And wouldn't the bill account number be on previous bills? Because the account wouldn't change, would it? So would she not have a copy on previous bills?
Mr. Shipway?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I believe if Councillor Cook would like to connect offline and give us the personal information, staff would be happy to follow up with that individual and address the concern. In regards to the $1.50, council through the rates and fees bylaw did implement a paper bill fee of $1.50 that's been implemented. But in regards to access to the portal, it sounds as though it's just an access issue. And I know finance and water wastewater staff would be happy to work through that with persons.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cook. Who do you want her to connect with?
Through Madam Mayor, the Director of Finance will follow up tomorrow via email on this one.
Okay. So, thank you. Any other new business? Seeing none, would you read the motion to move into closed?
Motion reads, Madam Mayor, moved by Councillor Fair, second by Deputy Mayor Marks, that council proceed into closed session at 8:01 PM in order to address a matter pertaining to advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including the communications necessary for that purpose, and position, plan, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board.
Call the vote.
Councillor Cook, sorry, Councillor Rowe?
Yes.
Councillor Kravitz?
Yes.
Councillor Cook?
Yes.
Councillor Fair?
Yes.
Councillor Wynn?
She did say yes.
Deputy Mayor Marks?
Yes.
And Mayor Martin?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.